All right. So I went to London in May with 5 other people. We got unbelievable tickets. All right. So I'm going to go through kind of a list of things I have typed out on my phone, but I want to just make sure when you go places to check for the best flights. We got probably the best flight that I've ever heard of. So our cost of hotel and our flight, our round trip airfare, and the insurance for the flight was $650 per person. And that was with, so there was 6 of us, that's with the insurance. So it was roughly, without the insurance, it would have been about $600 per person. And where we stayed wasn't a normal hotel. It was actually a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment hotel. So the one room had like a queen size bed. Another room had 2 like twins, and then in the living room was a pull out bed in the couch. But it was nice because the bed, it was actually 2 single beds. It wasn't one together. So that's where me and my friend African slept, was out there. And 2 bathrooms, like I said, wonderful. They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And there was a full kitchen as well. It was a small kitchen, but it was a full kitchen and a dining room table that sat 6 people, so we could all sit together if we needed to. It was awesome. It was great. Now, when we did go, let's go back to the flights. So we flew on United going there. So we flew from Chicago to Heathrow, and it was a 7.5-hour flight. Now going back to Chicago, that's where it gets why it was probably cheaper. It was actually, we flew from Heathrow to Helsinki, Finland, to Chicago. So it was a 3.5-hour flight to Helsinki, and then it was a 9.5-hour flight back to Chicago. It was a long day for travel, but it was great. Can't complain because the tickets were unbelievably cheap. All right, so next thing I have on here is rental cars. Okay, so if you can, book your car before you go. All right, so my friend African called us the night before we were leaving, like as we were getting ready to go to the airport. He's like, "Yeah, I booked a car last night. I booked a car." I was like, "You booked a car? Like to rent? We're gonna drive there?" And he's like, "Yeah, I figured why not, He's like, "I can drive stick shift." And I was like, "All right." So I asked him, I was like, how much did you pay? And he's like, $85 for the whole week. We were there for a week. $85 to rent a car in London for a week with insurance. And so my cousin, he was like, "Oh, I want to rent a car." So he rented a car once we got out there. Do not rent a car once you get out there. So my friend African, he rented his car from Europe Car, unbelievable prices. And he even got upgraded to a brand new car, had a navigation system in it. It was wonderful. So I was the other driver because I was the only other person that knew how to drive stick shift. So my cousin and I, we go to Hertz rental, which if you're going to London, it's goofy where you have to rent the cars from because you have to go back. We couldn't find a way to get to the rental place by car, so we had to have someone drop us off at the terminal, find out how to get to the other terminal. I'm going to take a break right here because we're going under the Tower Bridge right now. Look at that. It's all beautiful, all lit up at night. It's super cool. We found it by accident. We're like, "Hey, wait, that's Tower Bridge." And you know what? This is the only time on our trip that we actually saw it. We didn't get to go see it again. We just ran out of time. A week is not long enough. I really want to go back. If I have any opportunities to go back, I think I will, for sure. It was awesome. All right, so back to the story. So rent a car. Yeah, he got a brand new car, everything. I don't remember where I was. With the Oh yeah. Okay. So we couldn't find a way to get to the rental car place, so we went to the terminal. So my cousin and I, we went to the terminal, and then we were waiting. We were waiting for the buses to bring us over to the rental car place because they said that's the only way that we can get to them is through a bus from the airport, which was backwards, so messed up. So we sat there and waited, but we couldn't find Europe Car because we planned on going to Europe Car because it was an unbelievable price, you know. And even when I was with my friend African when he picked up the car the night that we flew in, and they were even shocked. They're like, "How'd you get this deal? Like, how we don't even have that kind of deal here." But he did it all online in the U.S., 85 U.S. before he flew out there. All right, so we gave up. We got tired of waiting for a Europe Car. I don't know if they were on break or what, but so we ended up going to Hertz, and they tried to put us in a Ford Focus, and we're like, really? We don't want to be in a Ford Focus. Like, we want to be in a car that we've never seen before or driven before, you know. So it was a Renault. I don't remember what kind of a Renault, but it was a cool little car. It wasn't brand new. It didn't have a navigation system. It didn't have the leather seats like the other car did, and the price was outrageous. So you do have to put a $250 credit down. Now, I will say my friend had to do the same at Europe Car. You have to put a $250 credit. Can't be debit. Has to be on a credit card. That's just in case if there's any dents or anything, you know, they have a credit card on file to charge. Normal rental car stuff if you've ever rented a car before. Now, so that was $250 for that, but you get that back after you drive the car for a week. At Hertz, it was without the $250, it was like $300 US, like $350 US for the week with insurance. Because we're in a different country, it's better to just do the insurance through them because our insurance in the US doesn't cover insurance in a different country unless you call them and ask them about it. But we didn't do that because we didn't think we were going to rent a car. So, excuse me. Definitely get the insurance because if there was anything wrong, you could be liable to pay up to the full amount of the car. You don't want to do that. That's kind of nonsense. And this is obvious because you've been watching the video. Drive on the left. Always drive on the left. Now, you might be thinking, should I just do the Oyster card or should I do the travel card? I will say the Oyster card was unbelievably easy. My cousin and his fiance, they did the travel card. Now, the biggest downfall to the travel card is if you don't use it enough, you're not going to get your money's worth. I think it was like $85 for the chair is squeaky. It was $85 for the travel card, and with the travel card, you can use it anywhere. So we thought. We tried to take a double-decker bus, and there's no place for you to tap the travel card because the travel card is a little piece of paper. Now, we could have done something wrong, so if I'm saying this wrong, please comment below and tell me so we know next time we go. But we could not figure out how to use the travel card correctly. The Oyster card was awesome. Like I said, you go up to the machine, I don't have an Oyster card, I want one, and it's like $5 for the card itself, and on the, you put your bank card in, you put how much money you want. It's like, oh, well, I want to put $10 on it and see how long that will last me. You know, it's unbelievably cheap to get around in London using the Oyster card, using the tube setup, the trains and all that. It's cheap. It's easy, but it's cheap. All right. So the easy one is kind of on the easy part. So if you're from a city, you'll do great. Oh, that car almost hit me. That was weird. This is probably my fault because I had no idea. No, that was fine. It was his fault. Anyways, it's definitely it's cheap to use the Oyster card and understand the tunneling, but I'm not from a city, so if you're from Chicago or New York, you might love the train system because you're like, oh, I know trains, like this goes here, this goes there. That's one of the reasons why we rented cars, is because we didn't want to have to deal with that all the time. Now, we did use the train a few times, especially after we found something out. So, if you drive into the city between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. into downtown, I think it's like, I'm not even going to say, it's one of the zones, the downtown parts of the zones, they charge you a congestion fee. And it's £11 and 60 pence per day that you drive into the city. When your rental company sends you a letter saying, hey, you need to pay for this, pay for it right away. Because it's £11, 60 pence per day. So you definitely want to just get that done with. And it's so much more if you don't. So it's about $150 per day that you don't actually. So like after that week, they give you a week to pay for it. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. So they give you a week to pay for it. If you don't pay for it, they charge you $150 per day that you went into the city. So make sure that you pay attention to emails from your rental car company and get that paid for right away. There might even be something there, like, excuse me, when I was in San Francisco, they're like, oh, would you want a bridge pass? And I'm like, no, I don't need that. Kind of wish I would have done it because bridges in San Francisco are expensive to go over, and we went over them quite a bit. But so they might have something similar to that in London for the congestion fee, but I'm not sure if they do. So yeah, the Oyster card, you can go on the double-decker buses, the tubes. It's wonderful. I think even some taxis. Don't quote me on that. That's very questionable. Travel card, piece of paper. It's easy to lose. Costs $85 for the whole week. And the Oyster card, I think I maybe spent $20 US. And so I can't even. Yeah, it's crazy easy. And I've heard that you can actually use select bank cards. So if you have a Chase, excuse me, the cards that you can tap to pay, I believe you can use those as an Oyster card now, which would be wonderful because then you don't have to pay the $5 for the card itself for Oyster. So if you do rent, one of the main reasons we rented a car, so we stayed about 45 minutes from downtown. So we were definitely on the outskirts of London, but it was either a 40-minute tube ride or it was like 30 minutes, no traffic to downtown. So one of the reasons, though, is so we could go to Stonehenge. We wanted to go to Stonehenge, and we did. We drove to Stonehenge, and then we drove to Bath, England, and then we drove back. Now, Stonehenge is not free unless you drive by it, but we stopped, went inside, had to pay, take a little bus ride down the road. It was about £20, so I'm not sure what that equals out to be in US dollars. Then we drove to Bath, England, like I said, and the Roman baths, is beautiful there. Absolutely beautiful. If you go to my Instagram, instagram.com/beard.adventures, and you'll see, if you scroll down, you'll see some of my England photos. You'll see Stonehenge. You'll see Sham Castle. It's like a castle front that was in Bath. We went, then there's the Bath Abbey. So it's a big church that they started building in year 700. So it was like crazy old. But the Roman baths, we got there about 20 minutes before they were going to close. So we didn't do it. But that's roughly £20 as well. It was like 17 and 18. There's different options, but I was like, I just couldn't justify it. But so another tip for when you're in London, black cabs are more expensive. So if you see black cabs, maybe don't use those. So the gray ones and white ones, silver, whatever, those are the ones that if you're going to use a cab, definitely do that. We did use cabs as well. I don't know. I don't think we could use the Oyster for them. You might be able to, but I'm not sure. I think we just gave them cash. But black cabs are almost twice as expensive from what I hear. And if you do use the tube in London, make sure to stand on the right. There's plenty of signs that say it, but make sure to stand on the right. Because we got to the tube one day in Piccadilly, and it was absolutely, we had to wait for 4 trains to go by because we could not squeeze onto the train. At first we were like, what's happening? It was like a can of sardines. I could not believe how many people were trying to squeeze into the train. It was crazy. So what you have to do is basically shove yourself into the train. And I told the people I was with, I'm like, you guys try for this one. If I can't fit in there with you, I'll make it on the next one. So like, but we ended up somehow squeezing in there. And if you're claustrophobic, you might just want to take a cab. Like, it's crazy sometimes. But so basically, when you're going up or down on the escalators, keep to the right, because if you don't, you will get pushed out of the way. So people that are wanting to walk on the escalators or run or jog, they stay to the left and they keep moving. If you're on the escalator, stay to the right if you're standing still. So this seems like a silly one, but I almost got hit by a car like 3 or 4 times because of this silliness. Always look the correct way while crossing the road. You know, I'm from the US, always like, oh, there's no car coming, I look left. Nope, the car's coming from your right. You need to look right when you're crossing, or there is signs on the road, it tells you, and then you look at those, you're like, oh, obviously everyone knows which way to look. No, if you're not from that country, you don't know which way to look. So got honked at. I was like, oh my gosh, I did not look. I was like, after you cross the road, you're like, I feel so stupid. So, alright, the next one is make sure to look up parking costs if you do rent a car. If you're gonna park in the city, I advise not to park across the street from Westminster Abbey. Parking lot was great, alright? There is a little car wash downstairs, like it's underground parking, and it's like directly across the street from Westminster and a block away from Big Ben. So, but it was different because, there's like a little car wash downstairs and vacuum. I'm like, oh, these are cool. Like, I wish I could have these in Atlanta, so I can go like vacuum out my car, clean out my car real quick. That'd be great for Uber drivers. Just saying. Atlanta, shout out. But, it says free car wash. Nothing's free. So it was, we didn't realize the parking costs at all. We went there and we walked around the city. We didn't get back for like 10 hours. Now, we did take a cab back to the parking garage because we were so tired. We're like, ugh, like we don't want to walk anymore. No, we took a cab to the restaurant and then we took a cab. And then we walked from the restaurant back to the parking garage, which I think we got lost. That was interesting. So yeah, but just don't park there. It ended up being £49 for 10 hours, which was about $68 US. And that is a lot of money for parking for 10 hours. That's like a lot of places. Like, I thought Chicago was expensive. Now, San Francisco might be around that same price, but I'm not sure. The next day, we were like, well, we're not going to park there. We actually found parking in Russell Square at a hotel underground for £19 for the entire day. And we just used the tube to get around because there was underground right around the corner. And that was the day that we started to realize, like, okay, train system's really not that bad. But one of the train systems we went to, or one of the stops, we're like, we see all these people lining up at the elevator. We're like, what? Or if you're in England, the lift. We're like, what is going on? Why are those people, like, there's stairs right here? So we're like, oh, let's take the stairs. Big mistake. Yeah, there's 175 stairs in a spiral to get down to the tube. I was like, okay, well, next time I will use the lift because that was obnoxious. And so you might, if you do end up renting a car, make sure to check the gas prices, or petrol prices as well, because they might be more than you think. So you might look at it and be like, oh, £2 34 pence. That's like the same price that I pay in the US. No, because that's per liter. There's like, there's 4 liters in a gallon, or 3.5 or something. I think it's a 4. I don't remember. But so it's per liter, not per gallon, and it's a lot more than that. So our little 4-cylinder car, we drove around London for a couple days. We drove to Stonehenge. We drove to Bath, and we drove back to London. And we had about a quarter tank left. And we're like, oh, we're going to be going to the airport in a couple days. Let's go ahead and fill it up. So we filled it up. The next day we took the tube into London. So we filled it up the night before we went to the airport. And it cost £55 to fill up. That was like crazy. That's for a little 4-cylinder, £55 to fill up. And I couldn't tell you. I don't remember how to do all the math on that right now. That's a lot of US. You can look it up. I don't know. And yeah, so just make sure to, see if that's going to be worth it to you to use the train system or rent a car, whatever's best for you and for your needs. So this one involves driving. So you've been watching me just drive all over the city here. When I stop at a stoplight, which really threw me off for a long time, was the yellow light comes on. So it goes green, yellow, red, yellow, green. You can start to go on yellow, from my understanding, because everybody does it. So I wouldn't say to take off fast, but I would start to go. Someone explained it to me that you can do it and what it was for, but I don't remember why. So if you want, you can Google, hey, why are you able to go on yellow instead of green in London, or something like that. I guess I could do that too, but I just, I'll leave that up to you guys. Okay, almost done. Only a couple more things here. So I have Verizon, and you might be wondering, like, how did you use your phone in a different country? Because I've been to Cuba, and you can't use your phone in Cuba. They have like their own thing, and you can't use your phone in Cuba, but you can use your phone in London or England in general. So for travel days, or I think it's called travel days, either you can go into the store and talk to them, hey, I'm going to a different country, can I work my phone in this country, blah blah blah. I didn't do any of that. I got there and I was like, I wonder. So I turned on my data. I'm like, oh, hopefully I don't get charged a bunch of money. And I got a text message, hey, welcome to England, would you like to use travel days? And I was like, travel days? What are those? And it was like 10 gigs for free, for fast. It was unlimited, but it was 10 gigs fast of data a day. Maybe it wasn't unlimited. Maybe it was only 10 gigs a day. but it was like $10, or no, maybe it was 25 gigs for $10. I don't remember, but there's travel days. It's $10 a day, worth it, 100%. Because if you take a lot of photos, you want to upload your photos, you want to do stuff, you want to create little videos while you're there, and if you want to just be on Facebook or watch YouTube, you can do that there. Just look up travel days or call your server, your carrier, and talk to them there. So we're going to go back to driving. Driving is weird. Alright? Should have explained this way earlier. So when you get in the car, you don't get on the driver's side like you would in the US. You have to get on the other side. It's right-hand drive. And it is stick shift. The pedals are all the same on the floor, but you shift with your left hand, and it's not from like the first gear isn't closer to you. It's the same as it would be if you were shifting a car in the US. First is all the way to the left, unless that's where your reverse is, but our car wasn't like that. So it is they don't have automatics unless you get a van. Because my cousin asked that. They're like, hey, can we get an automatic? They're like, no, we don't have automatics. We have manuals. So that's all you have. Now, you will realize when you're in London, you won't see very many police officers just driving around. Like, you go to Atlanta, you go to Chicago, probably New York. I've never been there. There are police cars everywhere, just everywhere. And you don't see that. Like, the only time that we saw police cars was when lights were on and they were on their way somewhere, or an ambulance, or a fire truck. Well, that's usually the only time you ever see those. But like police cars, you don't see them. If you do rent a car, watch your speed. Speed cameras are everywhere. I thought for sure we were going to get a ticket. Yes, I drive fast sometimes. But first of all, their speed limit signs don't say speed limit 45. It's a little sign, a circle with a number in it. It's like 40 or 45. And then there's like a little ring around it. And we're like, what? Is that a speed limit sign? I have no idea. But that's their speed limit signs. I didn't know at first. I know now. So make sure to look out for those. And if you're on the interstate or the highway, I wouldn't really call it interstate because you're not going very fast. You're going, speed limit's like 60, 65 or something. It's nothing fast. I think I drove about 70, 71, 72 in the, closer to the city, in the 65 mile an hour zone. Whatever it was 7 miles over is usually what I drive. So, all right. And if you're going, they have like their little, it looks like little toll zones. I don't think they were tolls, but they say it there. There's a sign. I can't place it in my head right now, but it's taking an average. It's taking a photo of your plates and taking your speed that you're traveling and making an average. So say the speed limit is 60 miles an hour and you slow down to 60 miles an hour to go through that camera. You're like, all right, well, I went through that. I'm going to speed up to 80. All right. And then you see another camera. You slow down to 60. You're like, okay, we're fine. It's just seeing me at 60. No. They're keeping track of how fast you are going. All right. So you might be going 60, but they're taking the time it took you to get to that next camera. And if it's faster than a certain speed, they will send you a ticket. And then if you're like, oh, well, it's a rental car, they will send the rental car a ticket. And then they will most likely, the rental car will take that and double it and send you a bigger bill. So just go the speed limit or 5 over. We didn't get anything for going 5 over. So just watch your speed, and you really don't see very many police officers. Like, you'll see them walking around more so, their fancy hats. Not the royalty guards, not those guys. You'll see those guys if you're over there, but I mean like police officers. But it was cool. Just watch your speed. But that's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's a long one. I apologize for that. And have a great night.